Well, here's the second part of my idea for seats for that Scout. This is the original seat that was in it when my cousin sent me the truck. He found this somewhere, used obviously, because it doesn't match the original truck, but for his kids to ride around when they were out just messing around, it worked. From this corner to that corner is basically the same as this seat. Difference is this seat is cut out for the wheel wells on both sides, and this one is not. Additionally, these seats were so close to the back of the bucket or the bench seats that were in there originally that you were kind of had your legs tucked all the way up tight against you, even as a kid. So there really wasn't any room. Don't really expect to be hauling anything in the back of this. You know, need a spare tire kind of thing. What I'm thinking is if I'm gonna mess with doing all this essentially custom interior, I ought to put a more comfortable seat in and move the seat back for a little further in the truck so that there's a little leg room for a passenger or two. Now, these seats are pretty comfortable as an adult if you can get your legs out in front of you. There's plenty of room. I'm not that big a person, but there's plenty of room for two small adults anyway, a couple kids. So I'm thinking if I cut the seat right down through the middle here, all the way up, and then weld it back together, that we could be the width between the wheel wells so that this whole seat would go in there. And then that leaves seat belts for somebody in the back. They'd have, especially if it's kids, you have shoulder harnesses for them. They have a little headrest so there's no whiplash issue. And then we just change out the seat belts. We change them either maroon or black as best we can anyway. See what we can do with that. I think we could maybe find some black ones or switch them over, or maroon ones, switch them over, and then just switch the belt color here to maroon. And then what I'll do is out of the Suburban that this seat came from, so I'll take the pins out of the floor of the Suburban and put those into the floor of the Scout. That way this chair is still removable, and I just have to size it for the pins I have. So I think the next step is to take this seat up to the heated shop. So for the back seat, what we've got is between the wheel wells is 42 inches. The original seat was 41 inches. Our foam for this seat is 48, and I want it pretty snug in there so that I get as much in there. So I'm going to take it right down to like 41 and a half. And if we go with the 48 for the foam, that means we need to take 6.5 inches off. So to take 6.5 inches off, on the front side up here, we can take 6.5 out right up here and section this out. In the back, we've got this third center mount, and I'm trying to keep all these mounts so that the seat will still fold all the way up into the vertical position for the maximum use back there. So we're gonna have to take 3 1/4 out on each side in here. We can split it there, and then that should give us everything we need. We can weld this back together if we need to. We can put a slug in there to line those up, but I don't really think it's necessary. So I'm gonna get these marked real quick and get these cut out. bigger project than I initially thought I was getting into. The seats I thought were going to fit a little easier than they did. So you ended up seeing me build this platform, and I've cut out all the parts for the driver's side, and I'll weld those up off camera. But the seats now fit. Everything lines up with the factory holes in the floor, so I can bolt it down to factory holes, bolt the seat down to this mount, and it's all reversible if somebody wanted to ever go back to a factory bench seat. So on eBay, I found the top to an original center console, and it was surprisingly not terribly expensive, unlike most of the international Scout parts right now. The box, the actual console part, if I found a few of those, they're usually not in that great a shape, and they're running well over $100. It's really just some sheet metal, and the floor of the truck is the bottom of the console, so it's not even a very fancy thing. We now have something we can make dimensions off of. So I bought this. We're going to make a center console that fits in here between the seats, and the seats made it to the upholsterer on time, so we're going to get those back. Currently planning the first week of March, and once we get those, we'll kind of hopefully be ready to start in on some of these other projects, because by then it'll start to warm up out here a little bit. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, thumbs up, send me a message, tell me what you think, and maybe which way you think the truck ought to go. But anyway, that's it. We'll see you again next week.